Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Everybody Needs a Nudge. On the heels of one Duxbury legend, we have another Duxbury legend in the studio today. Good, welcome, Brian Malone.
It's great to be here. Definitely not a legend, but it's great to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. I know Keith's excited. He's got a big smile on his face. Yeah,
I am.
He's been talking about having Brian Malone on the show almost since the show's inception. Yeah. But we found out something today. We found out something today, didn't we, Root Beer?
What?
Brian Malone is not a listener.
Yeah, we did find that out.
Yeah.
He's not a social media guy.
This is not is podcasting social media?
Kind of.
Yeah, we share it on our socials.
Yeah.
So you're not a social media guy. What does that mean? You don't go on Instagram?
I go on LinkedIn.
Okay, that's business. You're the businessman.
Business.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you're not on Instagram and you're not on
Facebook, not
Twitter.
on Instagram, not on Twitter, not on any of those things.
How do you get your news?
They're all distractions.
No. We didn't give him the rules. We're trying to. This is a family.
Okay.
Okay.
They're all distractions.
Okay, we'll cut that out.
Yeah.
But so no hot topic buttons here. No hot button topics. What's the saying, Keithy?
That's it. You got it.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Well, Keith told me that Root Beer can edit.
Yes, we can edit.
So we're good.
We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion.
I know, Brian.
What?
I know.
We are absolutely talking about politics today. Are you kidding me?
We are not talking
Religion's
about
fine. I don't.
and any gender stuff we stay away from.
So politics is a go.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He's a big Politico. Is that a thing? What is a Politico?
Somebody who
does politics?
likes politics?
I don't know. Politico. Look that up for our next podcast.
Politico.
What is a Politico? So we're excited to have you here.
I tell you, I really impressed.
Yeah.
Pulling into the parking lot, nice building.
Yeah.
Walking up, coming into this office, I'm really impressed.
Wow.
You guys have done a great job here.
Wow, thank you very much. And actually, we had a wonderful week this week. I think we're going to close somewhere in the neighborhood of like $16 million in loans this week. Yeah. What's up, crowd lending?
I think we crossed over the 100 million mark.
What's an average week?
Average, to put it in perspective, I think we just crossed over the $100 million mark for the year.
We did.
So we're in the 10th month, so probably $100 million in a $10 million a month. So.
Bonuses.
Christmas time.
Santa.
Everybody's getting paid at crowd lending. So we'll start with a little political history. So the format, Brian, is we sort of talk about some stuff that comes up through my week, through Keithy's week. Not really current events, more crazy stuff that we find on social media, quite frankly.
So I'll know nothing about
Yeah,
that.
this is great. Well, actually, I bet you know about this. Did you know that 4 of the last 10 Illinois governors are in jail, or have been in jail, or went to jail?
That is not surprising.
Did you know that?
I didn't, but that doesn't shock me at all.
Yeah, 4 of the last 10.
For what?
They're all corrupt.
So I'm going to tell you.
Embezzlement?
Otto Kerner, he was the governor from 1961 to 1968. He traded political favors for stock in a local horse track.
That's amazing.
And then he got out and he was the owner of the horse track because he had traded so many political favors for so much stock that he ended up...
Worth it.
Yeah. Then he went to the can for a little while. Daniel Walker, he was governor from 73 to 77. He was fine while he was in office, and then after office, he ended up going to jail for tax fraud. No big deal.
Not surprising.
No,
Yeah.
we all do it.
Yeah. Then George Ryan, he was the governor of Illinois. Illinois, man, it goes back to the days of like Al Capone, right? George Ryan was governor from 2003 to 2006, and he ended up in jail because he was taking bribes to give out driver's licenses. Yeah. So he was controlling the Department of Motor Vehicles, giving out driver's license. And unfortunately for him, one of the truck drivers he gave a license to ended up killing a family of 6.
Ooh.
What affiliation did each of these?
You know what? That's
leaders have?
a great question, but because we don't talk about party lines and we kind of stay away from that, I think that's some information that you can glean offline. And then I think the one that's most famous or most recent, and I don't have his years here, but it had to be, when did Obama go into office?
Was it 2008?
Okay, so it had to be. It had to be
for president.
Yeah,
Are you
president,
at-
president,
okay,
president,
yeah,
president.
Yeah, I believe it was 08.
Yeah, so in 08-ish, and this guy's doing, I think he's doing like a decade. Rod Blagojevich.
Okay. Yes, I remember this guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
What did he do?
He was he tried to sell Obama's Senate seat. He was
That's right.
and he denied it.
This guy.
He denied it and denied it and denied it, and then they had him on tape being like, "I got this seat. It's the golden ticket, and I ain't giving it away for free."
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Where is that guy now?
He's in the. I think he's still in the can. You know what? He might just now be getting out. Actually, he might just now. If I'm doing the math, let's say he went in. I think he went in like 11. I think he did a decade. Yeah, he served some serious time.
But Obama never did anything when he was senator.
No,
right?
and that's
In
doing
Illinois.
something like that is so sus,
He was
right? That's
clean
just so sus.
the whole time.
Sus.
That's so sus.
Yeah.
So the other thing that you're very interested in, Brian, and we'll get into how you got where you are, the magnet in the sales world that you are, but sports, right? Big
Yeah.
part of your life.
Yeah. In fact, I think the last time that I ever put on headphones like this and was speaking in front of a microphone was in 2005. It was either 2004 or 2005. I actually called the Duxbury Boys state championship game at the Garden.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I knew you called games at UNH, but I didn't know that.
I did. So I did a brief stint at WATD,
Yeah.
helping out Bill Wilhelm, and I called that game. And
Wow.
that was the last time I've
Wow.
ever done anything like this.
Well, we'll get into how you arrived at that wonderful point in your life and why you didn't follow up on that amazing career. But before we do, I've been watching a little bit of the baseball playoffs. You a baseball guy?
No.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
So I don't really care for baseball all that much to watch it. I do listen to it in the car, and then I like to watch playoff baseball because it's great. But it was funny because all throughout the series, which is the Astros, which are now in the American League, and they're playing the Texas Rangers. It's been covered by A-Rod, Big Papi, and Derek Jeter.
Oh, that's a good listen.
Yeah, so
Wow.
they're just talking about the 04 World Series where the Sox came back from 3-0 and the whole thing. But what I felt like is going on, and maybe I'm wrong, it felt like almost baseball was dying a little bit, and they're trying to harken back to like it's. I mean, that was like the highlight of that was like Red Sox
Unbelievable.
Yankees back
Yeah.
then was everybody watched across the nation because they were waiting. Everybody hates Boston. Everybody hates New York.
Yep.
So I felt like they were trying to rekindle that, but they did a show on that one game. The game must have been game 4 because they were down 3-0, and then they were down in game 4. I don't know if you remember, but they were down in game 4 as well, and they ended up coming back, winning game 4 and winning the series. But they did a whole show about game 4, and they had Jeter, A-Rod, and Big Papi on stage or in the booth, which
That's really cool.
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
But I felt like baseball. I feel like baseball's reaching a little bit there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely a dying sport. I used to love baseball
Yeah.
when I was growing up, and I think the attraction to baseball was the Red Sox not winning a championship, right, for so long.
Yeah.
It was in 1918. So my grandfather,
Misery loves company.
who was a very important figure in my life, he was born in 1917. So not that he remembers them winning a World Series
Yeah.
in 1918, but he was alive.
Yeah.
So my whole life growing up, he was the only person that I knew that was alive
Yeah.
when they had last won a World Series. And it was like when they finally won in 2004, everything got lifted
Yeah.
for me as a fan. I didn't care anymore.
Yeah. Definitely part of that.
It was like, hey, they won, we're good. And
But
then
it-
they went on to win 3 more times.
Yeah. And you think back, even before, leading up to that win, when Pedro pitched, it was like, oh my God, Pedro's pitching tonight. Where are you watching the game? Oh, Pedro's pitching. Who's pitching? Pedro? Oh, we're going to watch that game. He was like must-see TV.
I would say that when we look back at some of the greatest athletes in Boston, well, and I wasn't alive when Bobby Orr played, so I can't really comment, but I would say that from
When were you born?
1980.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would say that, throughout the 80s and 90s and 2000s, as good as Tom Brady was, I would say that Pedro Martinez from about 1997 through 2001 was probably the most dominant athlete that I've seen growing up here.
Yeah.
I mean, he was unstoppable.
Yeah, unhittable.
And he had this persona about him on the mound that I think we just miss that here, right?
Yeah.
So when he was on the mound pitching, he was feared. He wasn't a big guy,
No.
right? But people feared him, and he had this cockiness about him, and I miss Pedro.
So you know what his secret was, right? You know why he ended up being such a great pitcher? Besides the fact that he was a tremendous athlete, he had a physical attribute that other people didn't have that made him an incredible pitcher. Anybody know what it is?
I don't know what this is.
Super long fingers.
Ah.
So when he would throw the ball would stay on his fingers for like not a half a second, but like a millisecond longer, which allowed him to put more spin on the pitch. And that's why all his pitches had such crazy movement. If you remember, everything he threw was, even his fastball had movement on it. And it's because his fingers were so long and they could bend back. So the ball would stay on he was able to spin it more.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
100%.
I believe
Fact check that.
I believe
check
it.
that.
I am not the
Hold
Lulu.
on, hold
I am
on.
not the Lulu to think that, okay?
Pedro.
One of
I
my-
am not.
Delulu?
Yeah, Delulu.
Oh, you are on Instagram.
Yeah, you know it.
Right? Look at that. One of my favorite Pedro moments for sure was the All-Star
game, 100%.
1999.
At Fenway.
At Fenway.
Yeah.
All those guys were juicing. It was like the juice peak.
It was like
Juicing.
they were coming from the juice bar.
Right? Yeah, they were the juice bar, right? You got Sosa, McGuire, all these guys, and he struck them all out.
Yeah, in the first inning, right?
And the second inning.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, did he?
I think he blew his arm out, but I mean, who cares, right?
Remember he got beat up and not beat. He got hit around, knocked around in New York, and then he's like, I guess you could call him my daddy.
Yeah. And then he threw. Who'd he throw to the ground? The coach said,
Don Zimmer.
Zimmer, yeah.
Yeah.
What was he supposed to do? The guy was charging
right
him.
at him,
He just
yeah.
moved him to the side.
Yeah, you had to do something. You had to do something. What else we got here? Oh, a couple of little cultural things that I learned this week. Did you know that in Italy, in the Italian culture, 13 is a lucky number? You know that?
No.
I did not.
Yeah.
Why?
13 is a lucky number. I don't know. It's associated with the great goddess, fertility, and the lunar cycles. I think it has to do something to do with the 13 months. Remember back before they went to the modern calendar, there used to be 13 months in the year.
Okay.
Does anyone know what the unlucky number is in Italy culture?
7?
No, close
3.
though. No, 17.
17.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
that's not
this
good.
this is one I'd like to. Yeah.
My daughter was born in the 17th.
Oh,
in the year
Jesus.
2017.
Oh my God! No wonder why she doesn't have it.
Hates hockey.
So the Roman numerals for 17 is XVII, which is an anagram. Everybody know what an anagram is?
I think so.
A word or something that's spelled differently with the same letters.
Okay.
So it's an anagram of VIXI, which in Latin means I have lived, which the Italians to take to mean that death is right around the corner. Like, so if you say I have lived, right? The Italians take that, when you're eating your pasta with your babazool and your gabagool and all the other stuff. I have lived.
Oh,
Yeah, which so 17 means death is right around the corner.
boy, that's not good.
Yeah, sorry to bring that up, but yeah.
What a downer.
I know, jeez, we were so high with the Pedro stuff and the fingers on the ball,
I know.
right? I mean,
The conversation was going great.
I know, I drove that one into the ground, didn't I? So we got a couple segments to do, but before we get there, I want to tell another story that I saw on my Insta. All right, and it's kind of like it tells you the effect that you have on people can have on other people and their choices that they make. So a guy's at church with his family, and his cell phone rings, and he forgot to turn off the ringer, right? So the priest yells at them. The wife is all mad. The parishioners are admonishing him as he's walking out of the church, and one mistake, and they're all over him, right? So he can't go home because his wife is yelling at him. So he goes down the local bar, and he's sitting at the local bar, and he spills his drink, and the waitress comes over and she offers him a napkin to help clean up his drink, and the other patrons come over and they're concerned. Did the glass cut you? Are you okay? And then the manager comes out from behind the bar and says, "Oh, don't worry about it. Here's a napkin. Clean your pants, and I'll give you a free drink." That guy has never gone back to church, but he's never stopped going to that bar. Think about it. Where would you go?
Yeah.
You make one mistake at the bar, everybody's, "Hey, no big deal. Sorry, you okay?" At the church, they're like, "You're the worst person that ever." Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it was a good call.
Yeah. By the guy?
Yes. 100%.
The message is, be careful what you do when someone makes a mistake, because it might drive them to a place where you don't. Now the wife's probably pissed because he's always going to the bar.
Right.
And he's drunk.
Yeah. Drunk loser at the bar all the time. He needs to find God.
Yeah.
But they ran him out on a rail because, his bookie called him. So I thought that was an interesting little story. Little what do you call that? An antidote? What would you call that? An antidote, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do antidote. I mean,
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Alright.
think we talk about religion here, though.
Yeah.
Well, we do.
That was
big Catholic.
that was more the effect of people on other people,
Yeah.
Brian,
Yeah.
as opposed to religion.
That's true.
So we do a segment here called Dad Jokes. If you listen to the show, Brian,
Just gave me the evil eye.
you'd know. So, if you have like a go-to dad joke, get it up, because Keithy's going to start. You got a dad joke, Keithy?
I don't have one.
Oh.
I had a real hard time trying to find a good one this week.
So you're not supposed to tell people that you're looking for. Dad jokes come from within.
They
told
come
his
from
best
within,
ones.
and you kind of work. It was tough this week, but I came across a couple.
Okay, give me one.
What has 5 toes and isn't your foot?
5 toes and isn't your foot. I feel like this is more like a riddle, but I don't know. What is it? Brian, do you know?
No, I'm terrible at jokes.
My foot.
That's not your foot.
You have 5 toes.
So do you.
Everyone has
That's
5.
the whole joke.
Oh.
Oh my God, Root
Oh
Beer.
my God.
I thought you were saying you
No,
had an
my-
extra
you
toe.
did- That would be 6.
That'd be 6.
That'd be 6 toes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's early for you. It's okay.
What were you
Wow.
drinking last night, Root Beer? You and Johnny Cops drinking last night? Doing drugs? What were you doing last night? What were you doing? You have 5 toes,
I'm
Root
so
Beer.
embarrassed.
5. You should be. This is amazing. It's going to go out to all our listeners that you don't even know how many toes you have on your foot.
This is the quality of employees you have here.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I haven't had my coffee yet.
Oh my God, that
Oh, what
crowd
a
lightning bought for you.
Really, she's reaching for it. She's gonna crush that iced coffee.
Oh my God, unbelievable.
So here's another one. So in my free time, I like to help blind people,
His delivery is like,
using that as a verb and not as an adjective.
what?
I like to help blind people.
See?
A verb, not adjective.
Make them blind?
Yes, as a verb.
Oh. That was terrible.
That was bad.
That's
Hold
a
on.
terrible, terrible joke. What? You had to explain it.
I know. Why did the toilet paper roll?
I don't know if I'm going to give you another one. I think I'm cutting you off.
One more. One more. Why did the toilet paper roll down the hill?
I don't know why.
To get to the bottom.
Oh, that's so bad.
That
Wow.
was cute.
Oh my God.
Cute.
That is a cute one.
That's
Oh,
all
nice job,
I
kid.
know. I'll work on it.
So that was that. Do you have one, Brian? Are you going to pass?
No, I'm gonna pass.
Okay,
After
I have
How
one.
can
I have.
follow up on that.
I know.
You
I
can't.
have one dad joke. And it's a little apropos given the time of year, with Halloween coming up around the corner. Why don't monsters eat ghosts? Why don't monsters eat ghosts? Anybody know?
No.
Because they taste like sheet.
Pretty good.
You like that one?
I do. That was
You know who I've been tracking a little bit lately too is Chuck Norris. You a Chuck Norris fan?
I used to love Walker, Texas Ranger.
It's a great show.
Great show.
Yeah.
Great show. What's
So,
he up to?
He's just doing his thing, martial arts and whatever it is that he does,
Swiveling his hips.
swiveling his hips a little bit.
How old is he now?
Chuck Norris was born in 19. I want to say he's almost 80 years old. Is that?
80, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's getting up there. But so he was born in Ryan, Oklahoma, a small town in Oklahoma, and they tried to name a street after him, but they couldn't because no one crosses Chuck Norris and lose.
Oh my God, I forgot about Chuck Norris jokes.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Chuck Norris and Superman got in a fight once. Loser had to wear his underwear on the outside. God. Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris once got bit by a cobra. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, I got bit by a cobra. He was out on a set of a movie. Got bit by a cobra. After 5 brutal days suffering, the cobra died.
I forgot about these.
Oh my God, so funny. So those are my Chuck Norris jokes for the day. I got my before we get into Brian Malone and who Brian Malone is. I actually have another dad joke, but I'm gonna save it for next week. The ending, the quote. Oh no, we do the quote at the end of the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'll save that. So Brian Malone. Here we go, Brian. This is it.
Yay, Brian.
All right, so Brian, from now on, you're the topic of the show.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Today's show is sponsored by Crowd Lending.
If you're watching this, you probably want to shut it off now.
Why? No, this is going to be so exciting. We could already got like a little glimpse into all of the fun things that you've done in your life.
Yeah.
So, where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Here.
Right in this room?
I was born. I was born in the city.
Today
of
was the day I
Presidents.
was born. My future, my whole life starts with this podcast.
City of Presidents.
Yeah,
I was
Oh,
born
right here in Quincy.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
See, I didn't know that.
What hospital's in Quincy?
Quincy Hospital. Yeah, Quincy Hospital. You didn't know that? I think it's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
They
there's
got rid of it after I was born.
there is a small plaque. There is a small plaque where it was located that says Brian Malone was born here.
Right. I was the last one. They said enough.
Brian
we
Malone was
used to
born here.
produce quality,
City of Presidents.
future presidents, and now we got this kid.
Yeah.
We're shutting it down.
It's over. So were you living in Quincy at the time?
No, so we grew up, born in Quincy. I think the first 3 years of my life, we lived in Weymouth, and then
Yeah.
we moved to Hingham. And then I lived in Hingham.
With
And
who?
so-
Who was living in Hingham? Who was there?
My parents, my
And?
sister.
Just the four of you.
Just the four of us.
So a sister older or younger?
Older.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
2
we
years
got-
older.
I like we got the younger here.
Yeah. And then we lived there until I was about 12.
Yeah.
11, 12. Then we moved to New Jersey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Lived in New Jersey for about 3 years. Moved back to Hingham.
Okay, so back up a little. What was the impetus behind moving the family out to New Jersey?
Job transfer for my dad.
Really? What was
Yeah.
he doing for
Yeah.
work?
He's worked for the telephone company.
Really?
Yeah.
So which telephone company? It's funny though. Back in the day, there was the telephone company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There
Which one?
was.
Yeah, and then there
So
was.
he
the-
worked.
Was it Bell Tel? Who
yeah,
was
it was 9X.
9X.
I think it was 9X he worked for. I couldn't tell you what he did for a living. I always tried asking him. I never really got a good answer.
Yeah, sounds like CIA.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Tapping.
So-
I work for the phone company.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Go
then-
eat your lasagna.
And then there was some stint in between where he worked for, some, I don't even remember the company in New Jersey. And then he ended up working for Verizon where he worked until he retired. But so he had some sort of a job transfer, lived in New Jersey. It was great. Great 3 years.
But leading up to that, I mean, you must have made a lot of connections. And I mean, 12 years old, you had buddies, you had friends.
I had buddies. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a devastating move.
Yeah, I bet.
It was tough.
That's going into Hank's going to be 13 in November. So were you 7th or 8th grade?
6th.
6th grade. So
Sixth.
what does that make you old for your grade?
Yeah.
You have to repeat? Were you dumb like in the first grade or something?
No, I was born in April, so I think I was sixth grade. When we moved, I believe I had just turned 12.
Yeah, so the end of your sixth grade year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough time to move because you're making your buddies and.
Well, the thing is too is that growing up in such a small town, Hingham was much smaller then.
Well, it was geographically it was the same size. It was just less people.
Less people.
Yeah.
Less population.
But the land mass was the same. Just
Correct.
for clarification, Hingham has not conquered any lands
Right.
around it.
That's true. But the elementary school that I went to, I mean, you had one teacher
Yeah.
for the day. You went to school, you had one teacher. There wasn't much.
Did you have a favorite teacher when you're going through that time? Anybody that?
Yeah, one guy sticks out. He's
Yeah.
a total drunk.
Oh, okay. So he influenced you that way.
Yeah, Mr. Maffey.
Yeah.
The room was total chaos. I mean, I think he actually slept in the room.
Elementary school?
I think he was our sixth grade teacher. I think he was going through a divorce. He was a drunk. We found nips in his desk. He was living, I think, in the classroom during times. Yeah, it was.
That's tough for Mr. Maffey. I hope you're all right out there, buddy. If you're out there listening, Mr. Maffey, we care about you.
Yeah, but he was a good guy.
What was his first name? We can search his obituary later.
I think he was a BC guy.
BC High, BC Low?
Yeah.
Or just Boston College?
I think just Boston College.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fellow Eagle.
Yeah, he was. He was a fellow Eagle. But anyway, we sort of ran the classroom. And then moving down there, you went from that to immediately jumping into middle school.
Yeah.
Right?
In Jersey.
Yeah. So I went from...
What town were you in Jersey?
It was a town called Hillsborough.
Oh, that sounds like a nice town.
Which is... It's central New Jersey, so it's not what you think of when you fly into Newark.
Sure.
It was nice.
So what was the name of the city that our other New Jersey guy... remember what's his name was on the show? Grand Lakes, Mountain Lakes. Is it near Mountain Lakes, New Jersey?
I'm not familiar with Mountain Lakes.
Okay.
It was near Princeton.
Oh, that's a nice area.
Yeah, it was nice. It was very country-ish at the time. Cornfields everywhere.
Yeah.
It was it was quite the move.
I guess so.
So then you find. I mean, it took a year and a half to sort of break into that social circle.
And
right.
move again.
And it was time to move again and come back to Hingham, where it was like going back in time to the 50s. So in New Jersey, the diversity of the town was very rich, right? You went from, maybe when I was going to elementary school in Hingham, we had, one person that wasn't white Caucasian, right? To go into school in New Jersey where you started recognizing Jewish holidays and your friends are all different races, and then going back to Hingham, it was like going back to the 50s.
That's great. Well, it's funny. I think I've said this on the air before. I didn't really know a Jewish person until I went to their academy in the 9th grade. In Hanover, there was not a lot of Jewish people. Right. There were not a lot of African American people. No. Matter of fact, I think there were two families, and one of them was Marvelous Marvin Hagler's family, which we've talked about on the show.
There you go.
Same thing in Hingham.
Same thing. I think it was.
And Duxbury, where Keith grew up.
Just the way the South Shore. It's a South Shore thing, right? And anyway, so that's something I would never do to my kids.
Move them around.
Never. Not at those ages. Because the implication of that is, even though I was moving back to the same town, in those 2.5, 3 years, the social circles all changed.
Sure.
So when I was going back and I was trying to sort of reignite friendships, it was, I'm not friends with that other person anymore.
Right.
I hang out with this new crew.
Yeah.
So then you had to sort of evaluate, well, what's that new crew like? And then you were trying to connect people that used to be friends but didn't want to be friends anymore.
Right, because somebody stole somebody's girlfriend or sneakers or something.
That didn't work out.
Yeah.
And
so this is now, you're coming back and going into high school. You're going into 9th grade at this point. I
started by freshman year. Yeah. So the first 2 years of high school was spent not focused on academics. It was focused on friendships.
Yeah.
Where do you fit in?
Where do I fit in, and developing social networks and all that. And so I wasted 2 years of my high school career.
Well, it sounds like it was even more than that, because it sounds like it was, you went through that when you went to New Jersey too. I mean, you struggled through that in the 7th and part of the 8th grade, or 6th and 7th grade.
I struggled with it, but where it has helped me now,
the nudge,
is my ability to adapt.
Yeah.
my ability to, I would say, it sort of, not that I was shy, I was never shy, but it forced me to just put myself right into the middle of the mix.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
I would say you've done a good job at that as an adult. Sort of finding numerous groups of friends and
yeah.
That's a great quality to have.
navigating the social scene, shall we say,
The social
of
scene.
40-something-year-old men in Duxbury.
I remember the first time we actually met.
Oh,
Look at
God, yeah.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
Let's
my
hear
God,
the
here
story.
we go.
This is actually an amazing
Here
story.
we go. Here, Keithy, here we go.
Here we
Here
go.
These stories.
I
Memory
remember. Yeah.
Well, no,
You were sitting there and
I
the
was-
sun was shimmering off your sunglasses, and I couldn't help but notice that you were holding a Starbucks coffee, and I love Starbucks, so I just had to talk to you.
This is a great story. Go ahead, Keith.
I was playing golf with Craigie.
Yeah.
We're at Marshfield, and we were a twosome, and we were going out to play, and one of the pros is like, we're going to put a single with you. And, of course, I mean, it was like, F that. I don't want anyone. I don't know this person. I don't want. No, we're not doing that. And next thing you know, Brian comes walking in, and he joins our group. And,
But that's a brutal group to walk into.
Oh,
Just getting
man.
crushed. Just getting, you don't even know you're getting made fun of, and you're getting made fun of. It's
That is true.
brutal.
It's a good thing I've got blinders.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, no, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
We started playing the name game, and from then on, it was just love at first sight. It was just boom.
Wow.
I think,
Fireworks.
I think
So-
the first name I dropped was Dave Madden.
It was, yeah.
I said, "Hey, do you guys know Dave Madden?"
Or
And
Keith
immediately
Fallon.
it was like, "Bah!"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great story. You guys played golf together. That's how you met.
We did.
Dude,
And
I'm so
well,
jealous.
By the way,
Remember-
that's
you
such an
remember how long-
original.
do you remember
Such
how
an
long it took
original.
us to play through that first hole?
No.
Oh, it took us forever because we were like trying to I didn't even realize you guys were brothers.
Yeah.
Remember that?
No.
I didn't even realize they were related.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they
It's a
might have
real original story.
Dan is so jealous.
I'm not jealous. I just met playing golf. I thought it was gonna be like a good I was there was a car accident and I pulled him out of a fiery wreck. He said it was an amazing story.
We've
yeah.
been friends ever since.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good story to us.
Yeah, I guess so. Cut
Maybe
that
not-
out.
Maybe not for this podcast.
Cut it out. All right, let's go back to
All I needed to say was Dan was there also. It would have been
It
an
would've been the
amazing
best
story.
story.
No. I don't need to be in that story because it was boring. My stories are good. So you go back. So now you finally get around to academics your
Yeah.
junior year.
Yes.
So are you playing any sports at this time in your life
Yeah, but I never found a sport
that you were good at?
that I was good at.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
didn't.
What did you try?
I didn't really try anything other than what my friends were doing.
So if they were playing town soccer, you were playing town soccer. If they were doing town baseball, you were doing town
So
baseball.
I played baseball.
Okay. So
So if I could do it all over again, I probably would have played tennis.
yeah.
I probably would have tried to play golf.
Yeah.
Those are the things I would have done. But playing golf then, so this was 96.
Yeah.
By the time I was a junior, 1996. Playing golf was kind of a joke.
Really? Because I played a lot of golf
Yeah.
in 1996.
At Hingham High,
Yeah.
it was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't, it wasn't really, tennis was serious. Golf, at least at Hingham High, was still sort of coming about.
Yep.
But that would have made it the perfect opportunity.
Right. To
to try
slide
it.
into
So,
that team.
I think that, if I had never moved and I was more comfortable, I probably would have done things that I was really interested in doing versus just doing things because that's what my friends did and I just wanted to be sort of part of that social crowd.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Something good to keep in mind as you're raising your children.
Exactly. Well, that's why we're trying to expose them to all different things, see what they're interested in doing. For now, it's not really about the sport. It's really learning how to be committed to something, learning teamwork, camaraderie, building friendships. To me, that's what it's about at this age. I mean, my kids are 6 and 4, so
So want me to let you in on a little secret? That's what it's always about.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And if when it becomes not about that, then it becomes a business or it becomes a job for the kid.
Yeah.
And, there's a stat out there. I think 7% of high school athletes play at the next level. That's any of the next level, D1, D3, whatever it is. So the majority of kids, their sporting career is going to, on any sort of serious level, unless you're playing men's league or whatever, is probably going to end in high school.
Yep.
So it should be about the camaraderie and the friendships and the teamwork and how to navigate through certain structures and things like that. So keep that in mind too. And that's, I think it takes, when you talk about golf is a team sport, but it's so individualistic at its core.
Right.
That you lose some of those skills if that's the only sport you played. I know guys that only played golf growing up, and they had very poor social skills.
Really?
Yeah, because you spend a lot of time alone.
Yeah. That is true.
The golf that we play now, social golf or recreational golf, is not competitive golf. Competitive golf is a completely different animal. Where you're alone a lot, you're on the driving range alone a lot, you're chipping and putting a lot, you're playing. But even when you're playing in those tournaments, there's some conversation back and forth, but guys and players are so focused on what they're trying to do that there's not a ton of, you're not really shooting the breeze all that much the way that we do when we play golf. So,
right.
So anyway, as you work through high school, are you focusing on anything that's, non-athletic? Are you got any interest? You in any clubs? You doing, anybody influence you to get into stuff?
I worked.
Really? What? Doing what?
I worked. So when I was, I want to say a sophomore, I got a job at, you ready for this? You might remember this in Norwell. Marsh's Liquor Store.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I got a job at Marsh's Liquor Store, and my buddy and I ran the recycling department.
Okay. Remember the big giant recycling departments they used to have at liquor stores?
Yeah.
This thing was massive.
Yeah.
So we were in charge of managing, the Pepsis, the Cokes, right? The distributors coming in, taking all the recycling, taking in inventory. And it was a great learning experience.
Yeah.
I kind of young to be working as many hours as I probably was, but it was a great learning experience on how small businesses ran and how to sort of run a department. Anyways, so it was great.
Yeah, it's great.
But it sort of, in the reason I did it was I was just very attracted to making money.
Yeah, you wanted the dough. Do-re mi.
Early at that age. And so I started doing that my sophomore year, and I did that. I probably worked there up until, I want to say, sophomore year in college, where I would come back in the summers and do that. But that's what I was doing for the most part until baseball season, and then I would take a break and play baseball, and then I would go back and work there in the summers.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so when it comes time to go to college, how do you end up at UNH?
Yes.
Tell that story. How do you end up there?
At UNH, just not a great vetting process.
Okay. By the school or by you?
By me and, by parents that weren't really involved. So, I probably evaluated 3 or 4 schools actually before we got there. So my junior year, that summer, I had a relative, my uncle lived in Florida. And at the time I thought that I wanted to go to school in Florida.
Sure.
And so we did this whole escapade of driving across the state of Florida, visiting schools.
You and the uncle or you and the parents?
Me and my dad.
Okay.
So we visited all these different schools. None of them really stood out to me. We were talking before the podcast about how I was visiting schools like University of Florida, Florida State. As a 17-year-old, I was completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, those are big
when
places.
I stepped onto those campuses, and I was not ready. Here's a funny story. So we went to Florida State, and then my dad said, there's a school down the street that we should go visit. And I said, all right,
yeah,
whatever.
Let's go.
Right? So we go to the school, and we start walking around the campus, and everyone's looking at us in a very bizarre way, right? And I didn't really realize this in the moment, but we were walking around at a school that was purely an African American school.
A couple of white kids, got white guys walking around. Yeah.
So yeah, they're that should tell you everything, right? About what that process was like. But I came back senior year, and I just made the decision. I don't want to go to Florida.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that. I am interested in going to school out of state. That's probably too far for me to do that. So I started visiting some other schools, and UNH just kind of stood out to me. It was a beautiful campus.
Yeah.
And I felt like the size of the school was just right. I want to say it was about 12,000, which I felt like was a good mix there.
But you're making this decision all on your own.
I made it all my own.
Yeah. You're all alone, flying solo.
It's incredible. My wife always jokes, it's incredible that I've even made it to where I am, because I was raised by wolves, made all these decisions by myself at these ages.
I love it. Internal nudges guiding you along on your walk through life.
I had no idea what to major in.
Yeah.
Just picked communication as a major. But it worked out. I ended up immediately when I was in college, I knew that one of the things I wanted to do was get into broadcasting. It's something that I wanted to be involved with during my college years.
Yeah. And
so right away I went to the local college radio station, which was WNH. And it was a great experience. So
what did you do for them? What were you doing there?
My freshman year, there was a sports director who was a senior, and he was basically doing the play-by-play for all the college hockey, college football. He did a radio show every week, and mainly in my freshman year, I was in charge of production, helping out, right? They would do the live, they would be at the hockey rink at the Whittemore Center doing the games. I would be back in the studio just making sure that everything was working properly and the broadcast was successful. That, even though I didn't get to watch many hockey games that year because I was doing that, the team was phenomenal. They made the national championship game my freshman year, led by Jason Krog. Ty Conklin was their goalie, just an incredible team. Unfortunately, lost to University of Maine, which was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Campus was just rioting and everything. It was a pretty cool experience. And then my sophomore year, because all those people were seniors, I took over.
Yeah.
So I took over as sports director as my sophomore year.
So that's early on, I would say.
Early on. And then I took over, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Had no formal training, nothing. Just jumped in. I was probably the worst, broadcaster of all time, but it was fun. And the hockey team was okay sophomore year and junior year. And it was really the senior year that I was there that the team was awesome again, ranked in the top 5, probably number 1 for a lot of the time. They made the Frozen Four that year. I got to travel with the team. At that point, I formed great friendships within the team, and so I became good friends with the likes of Matt Carney, who was one of the goalies, a BC High guy,
kid, yeah.
Patrick Foley, who I think was a Milton guy. Anyway, so that team was great. And unfortunately they lost in the Frozen Four. We traveled out to Minnesota, and they lost to Maine once again.
Oh, Maine's got their number.
Maine.
Killer.
Maynards. Brutal.
Are they called Maynards?
Always a Korea.
Yeah.
There was always a Korea.
Yeah.
That just ruined things for us.
Yeah.
It's like, how many freaking Koreas are there, right? And none of them were as good as Paul, but they all still made impactful plays. They were annoying. It was always a Korea involved. And anyway, but UNH has never. So actually, when I graduated, Brian Ayers was also the goalie. So they had Ayers, they had Matt Carney. Matt Carney actually gave me one of his game jerseys that I still have. To this
nice.
day. Pretty cool. It's got blood on it, which makes it even better. But unfortunately, their last good year was the year after I graduated. They made it to the national championship again, and they lost to Minnesota. They got crushed by Minnesota.
Was there a coach there that was driving the bus? Who was the coach those years?
Umili.
Yeah, Dick.
Coach
Yeah,
Umili,
yeah.
who was a great coach, but he just couldn't get them over the.
Couldn't get him over the finish line, but he built those teams that were good for. He was up there for a long time, right?
He was.
Yeah.
And the program really, ever since that was 2003, it's just never been the same.
When's he left? When did he leave?
I think he left actually not that long ago. I want to say probably middle 2010s.
Oh, so okay. So he stayed for a while after that. After that run.
After that, yeah. And now they're kind of a joke.
So you do this through. So you do this. This seems to be a big activity, a main activity for you during your college years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
And was the plan at some point or any point to go into that business?
I was interested in it. And so after I graduated from college, I packed up. I moved out to Los Angeles.
Oh, I didn't know this.
I lived there for about a year.
In L.A.
Yeah.
You don't seem like an L.A. type of guy to
He
me.
fits right in there.
Yeah.
I do fit in.
Yeah.
I lived in Santa Monica, so this is really going to outdate us. So I moved out there and I went on Craigslist
Yeah.
which was new at
To
the
find
time.
what?
Why were you lonely? Were you lonely?
Were you
You
lonely?
do a lot of things on Craigslist, but
The
I
I
actually
wanted to buy a canoe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I used Craigslist to find roommates. And so I ended up, finding the, group of people that I lived with for a year, and it was great.
So you just lived in a room with them?
We had a townhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you found roommates and then found a place. Well, one of the roommates had a place, and you
No, I just found I found them on Craigslist. They had a townhouse.
Okay.
They were looking for a roommate.
got it.
I moved in with them, and then when I was out there,
They could have been mass murderers.
Could have been dead.
back then though, it didn't.
Craigslist killer.
But that back then they didn't have mass murderers.
No, they
There's been mass
did,
murders around
but
for.
I don't know. You felt safer. Somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For no good reason.
For no good reason, but you
Right.
did feel safer.
You did. You were actually in more danger because nobody could ever find you. Right?
So while I was out there, I did work for a Los Angeles radio station, and it was mainly, again, doing production work. I never got on air, but I got to meet some pretty cool personalities. One of the people that I met that did a live radio show was Mark Gubiza, who used to pitch for the Kansas City Royals, actually won a championship with them in 1985. And he got to play with Bo Jackson when he was playing for the Royals. And he just had so many incredible stories.
I bet.
Bo Jackson, who I think is probably the best athlete who
Has ever lived.
have ever lived.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back and argue like Jim Thorpe and like Jim Brown and those guys, but
In our
in our
sort of,
yeah,
era, arguably
they asked Deion Sanders that question because he's
who's
up there,
probably top 5.
and he was like they were comparing. They mentioned a couple, Deion and Michael Jordan.
I would say top 3 right there.
But they're talking to Deion, and they're like, "Who's a better athlete?" And they're like, "You or Michael Jordan?" And Deion was like, "Well, you're forgetting about Bo Jackson." So when those guys are saying you're the best athlete, that means you're the best athlete.
You're the best.
Who is the Olympian?
Jim Thorpe,
Carl Lewis?
No, the
Jesse Owens.
No, I think he's a woman now.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Jenner. What was his?
What?
Bruce
Jenner.
Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. He's
No.
disqualified.
He's just doing that to try to spark something.
He's disqualified, bro. By the way, can we talk about the Olympics real quick? Did anyone see what the new Olympic sport is in 2028?
Well, I know this answer
Pickleball.
because it's flag football.
Flag
Yeah.
football.
And the NFL
That's
is trying
a
to encourage
joke.
people to do that. I would say the Olympics in general is something that has just
Jump the shark.
I'm not very
Yeah.
interested in it, to be honest. It's not something. I mean, I enjoy the hockey, but outside of that,
I like Winter Olympics. I
100%.
enjoy the Winter
Me
Olympics.
too.
much better than the summer.
Summer Olympics have jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Totally jumped the shark. Rupia, do you know what that means? Jump the shark.
No.
Do you know what it? Do you know what it references?
I don't.
Do you know what it references?
Happy days.
Yes. So do you remember so there was a show Happy Days
I know what Happy Days
with the
is.
fawns.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, da-da-day. How did the song go? I don't know.
Just like that.
Get the song.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These things
Monday, Tuesday, da-da-day. I don't know how it goes. So they was on the television for way too long, and they actually had an episode where Fonzie was water skiing in his leather jacket, and he jumped a shark.
I've seen clips of
and that was the episode where everybody was like, okay, happy days.
It's done. It's done.
There are no more storylines. Guys are jumping sharks.
I guess a good trivia question would be, how long did the show, how many episodes after that episode were there until
until they shut it down. Yeah. I'm vision of Fonzie. That show was incredible. Anyway, so you go out to LA for a little while.
Yeah.
You try to get into broadcasting.
And that's when I realized this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm not willing, because a lot of these people break into broadcasting unless you're, I think I put on the USC Notre Dame game over the weekend, and I see the guy doing the play-by-play, his last name is Collinsworth.
Yeah.
Like, how did he get this job?
Yeah, I wonder.
Right? So it's like, obviously you need to know people. For people like myself who didn't really have a network, I didn't come from a family that were media tycoons. You pretty much have to move to South Dakota or Iowa, and you have to live in these small towns and work at these small radio stations, and
hope you get noticed.
Hoping to get noticed, and you make no money. And I just said, you know what, this has been fun. It's been a good hobby, and that's what it is. It's a hobby.
Yeah,
it's not a career.
Yeah.
That's why when my kids today talk about, oh yeah, I want to sing or I want to play music, I said that's a great hobby.
Yeah,
those are the words that come out of my mouth. That's a great hobby.
Yeah. You're not going to make money.
No.
So get a business degree.
No, you're not going to be the next
Because I'm not
Taylor
supporting
Swift.
your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Right. Hobby. That's the key word.
That's
Remember
a great word, hobby.
Remember that. Hobby. So that's when I realized this is a good hobby. So then, I left. I never wanted to stay out in California. I just stayed there for about a year. And then I moved back here. And that's when I began an actual professional career. And on the side, as a hobby, I was helping out at WATD and doing some high school broadcasting and things of that nature. And I probably did that for an additional 2 years after I moved back, which was in 2004. And then you just don't have time.
Yeah.
It just ran out of time. I didn't.
So what profession do you go into at that point?
I fell into a sales role, which was interesting. Funny story. I was interviewing for a job of inside cold calling.
Yeah.
Right. For the software company that was headquartered in California. And they were looking for somebody that would just bang the phones all day. And so I interviewed for this job, and the guy hiring basically said to me, listen, I think you're good at this because of your broadcasting career. You could probably handle rejection well.
Okay.
That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
I said, well, probably more applies to my personal life than broadcasting, being able to handle rejection
my love life.
Right. But nonetheless, I got that job, and it was kind of dumb.
But the broadcasting
luck.
played into it.
The broadcasting played into it.
Little nudge there from the broadcasting business.
And then I remember my first day there. They had a small office in Hingham, like a satellite office, right across the street from Derby Street. And I walk into the basement, and there's just dehumidifiers everywhere. There's mold on the ceiling like this with mold all over it. And I'm just locked in this room by myself, just with a list of companies to call. And I'm like, what am I doing? This is like Boiler Room, the movie. And so I wasn't so sure about it. But then it became an obsession, calling into these companies, and you're rejected 60 times in a day. But it's that 61st phone call where somebody's willing to take an appointment with you, where then it becomes an obsession of, can I get the next person to say yes?
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that sales was for me, because it was a rush. And then, from there, I killed it in that role. I did very well for myself.
If I don't say so myself.
I just kept getting
promoted.
promoted.
That's cap.
Kept getting promoted.
That's cap.
And then And then and I just enjoy the ride, and it was
Yeah.
an incredible ride. It was a company that started off. I was probably one of the first 100 employees there, and then just going through the process of the company growing and growing and growing, and then going through an IPO process in 2007, and
Wow.
and then going through the process of 2009 when being in the office, we went from being in Hingham to then we were in the North End, right across the street from the Garden. We had season tickets to the Bruins.
Life was good.
Life was good. And then, the financial crisis hit. And I remember being in that office when it was like, they called in 40 people into a conference room. And I wasn't one of them, obviously.
You were at the front of the room.
Obviously, I
You were at
wasn't
the
in
front
there.
of the room. Like this. That
is
one
my meeting.
gone.
And
That
then-
one gone. That one gone.
And then you just see the people walking out in tears, and that was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's tough.
that was tough. That
So
was
you're what, 29 at this point?
that
30?
point. Yeah, exactly. I was
29, 30?
28, 29 at that time.
Still young.
Still young, and that was. We were. It was interesting because when we were hiring people, I remember it was getting to the point where even I started to question, how are we hiring some of these people?
Because of the quality of people?
Quality of people. I go, this person. I mean, not that I got into this role necessarily knowing, like, having like a trained background, but some of these people, I mean, these people are a joke. I mean, come on. So I knew something weird was going on, and then sure enough, those were all the people that were in that conference room when the firing squad took place. And so it was kind of like I was sympathetic, but at the same time, I was like, they probably never should have been
Saw
hired in
that
the first
coming.
place. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, and then you just get to a point where you're in an industry and you're doing something for so long that even though there were times where I had interest in other things, it's
So you
kind of too late to break
so
away.
you're not still with that company, are you?
No, I'm not with that company anymore. I'm with a competitor now. So I work for a very
And
large
what
company.
were you selling? What were you selling in that boiler room? What were you calling on?
HR software.
HR software. Software though.
Software.
Software.
So software for companies to evaluate their employees, do performance reviews, do goal setting, very
Yeah.
boring stuff.
We
But
don't need
all-
any of that.
Yeah, I'm
We're
sure,
good.
I'm sure this company
Yeah.
is ripe
Yeah.
for performance management software.
Yeah, I have it. It's called Me. Have you heard of that software?
And I still sell it today.
The same HR.
The same. So now I sell other business applications beyond HR, but that is part of what we sell. So now I work for a company where over the past 5 years I've been selling ERP software. So for companies to, better manage their finance and general ledger. Exactly. All boring stuff. All boring stuff.
Yeah, ERP.
It
we
is.
have that
Yeah,
here.
we
yeah.
definitely do.
It's all-
We got
two
the
of those.
yeah, we got the MAF too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
two of them.
It's
Yeah.
the most boring thing to talk about, but the nice thing is that it is a need to have.
But he's still selling them. So still,
Need to have.
That's
even
why he's
during
good at it.
even during recessions, people have to have this stuff.
yeah. So at some point along the way, though, you meet your wife.
Yes.
When does that
How
happen?
much longer are we doing?
Not
this
much
for?
longer. We're almost out of
Yeah.
time. I'm going to give you a
So-
couple minutes to talk about your family, and then I'm going to cut you off.
This is an interesting story. So, my wife and I met at Success Factors.
Is
So
that-
this
that was the
company
the boiler
that-
room?
The boiler room company. So we met there in 2008. So this was right before the firing squad moment. So she started there as an intern. She actually started working there while she was still going to school at URI. And she graduated from URI and she's working in the office. And, we're friends with the same people. So we're, kind of, hitting it off.
You're making your move.
Making her not necessarily making a move, but there's interest.
Sure.
There's interest, right? So I mentioned earlier that we had season tickets to the Bruins.
Yeah.
Right. These were great seats. They were, if you consider glass seats good seats, because sometimes they're not. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily have a great view, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And we had the first two rows, and I had a bunch of friends living at the city at the time. We went to games. So this was a game where the company basically said it's for employees only. We're all going to the game. And we go to the game, and turns out we're sitting next to each other.
Oh, wow.
Did you share any popcorn?
That's-
Right? And at the time, I'm thinking, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Turns out it wasn't a coincidence.
So we're enjoying
she
the game.
controlled the seats.
Yeah.
We're enjoying the game, and what made this game very special was that within about 5 minutes into the game, Lucic buries a guy into the boards and breaks the glass.
Okay.
Glass shatters. And
I love him.
they show this. They actually show this
I love
highlight.
him.
They show this highlight
still
all the
see it
time.
today, yeah,
they
yeah.
still
Yeah.
show it, right? It was that game. I think they're playing Toronto, and so that made the game memorable. We hit it off, whatever, right? And then things kind of take off from there. You kind of just spoil the moment. So I find out years later.
So mad he wasn't me.
Years later, I'm talking about like we're already married.
Yeah.
I find out that she went to the office manager and she manipulated the seats so that we were sitting next to each other.
My girl.
Yes, and from that point on, you got total control.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's how I look at that. I'm like, okay.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know behind the scenes she does.
Well,
Is the ultimate
probably
line
right.
to that story.
Yeah.
She is.
So, and now you end up. So let me just. The one thing I have to mention, and I want to talk about this because I've never gotten this story, and now we've been friends. I don't know, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
8, 9 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
My first. So every time I meet somebody, I Google them. I don't know if that's just me, but every time I meet somebody, I Google them. Right. So at some point in my life, I Googled Brian Malone, and the newspaper article came up about you and your brother-in-law and the big political beefs at dinner or something, right? Tell me about that article.
I still don't really know what that was about. So my brother-in-law is another cat who I love dearly. And so we used to do this. We don't necessarily do it so much anymore, but when we started dating, we used to always get together at her parents' house. They were living in Hingham at the time, and we would do pizza Fridays. Her mom made pizza. She's excellent she makes delicious
Excellent
pizza.
cook. She's an excellent cook.
Excellent cook, excellent baker.
Okay.
Great baker. But nonetheless, so we're doing this, and it's, amongst the family, and yes, we talk politics, but it's not like, it's really not that intense.
Yeah.
Right? My brother-in-law, for whatever reason, he knew somebody at the Patriot Ledger, and I think he kind of made up this story about how we have these intense political discussions on Friday nights while we have pizza, and he somehow got somebody interested enough in that
Yeah.
to come to the house and sit with us and write down what we were talking about. And would actually write a featured story about this.
Yeah, it was
what is
amazing.
Is the Patriot Ledger even in business anymore?
I get it every morning.
This was, I mean,
Love
and-
that
and
for
I
that
think-
for stories like that.
and they're trying to and I remember it was a very unnatural dinner. It was like he was trying to bring up these conversations, and it was very awkward, and whatever. And then this article. I mean, and it's like people still reference this damn thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I had somebody that I work with that said, "Hey, I found this article online of you from 2013." And I just kind of roll my eyes. But there's really, I mean, it was sort of something made up by my brother-in-law more than,
Crushing the ledger right now.
shocking.
So so I read it, and it's funny because I'm not political at all. And I have it in my head that anybody that talks about politics all the time is kind of a not my type of guy.
Yeah.
Turns out that's not true with you, and it's also not true with my future cousin-in-law or whatever, niece-in-law. What's the guy that marries your niece called? The guy that marries your
Niece's
niece?
husband.
Okay, and there's no I
There's no, I understand.
There's no,
what you're
like,
saying.
in-law,
Yeah,
there's no, like-
so.
Nephew-in-law.
nephew-in-law. I mean, I guess that's what it'd be. Anyway, he's very political too. So when I read the article, I was like, oh God, this guy's coming into our circle. He's going to be talking about, Ronald Reagan and all this nonsense. I'm going to have to listen to it. And, Keith, you tell you, I don't really, I don't stick around to listen to people talk when I don't want to hear them talk. So I'm glad that that's not the route you went on. And I'm glad to hear that was a trumped up story.
It was.
Yeah. So last question, and because we're getting a little long in the tooth here, although our listeners do love us. How do you end up in Duxbury? Because I'm hearing Hingham.
Yeah. I never wanted to live in Hingham.
Okay.
By the way, so it was just simply because, listen, I lived there long enough, had enough. The town completely is different than
Sure.
it was when I was growing up there as well. My father-in-law grew up in Duxbury.
Okay. All right. So there's the connection.
And so my wife's father, his grandfather, they all lived in Duxbury. And so we were living in the seaport, and her father was just raving about Duxbury. You should check out Duxbury. You both work from home. And so we did, and just sort of fell in love with the beauty of the town. The fact that we could work remotely even back then, the sort of attraction to the beach,
Sure.
and having all that when that existed.
Duxbury Beach Preservation
Duxbury
Committee,
Beach,
whatever that's called.
Yeah, Save Duxbury
Save
Beach,
the Duxbury Beach.
which my brother-in-law sort of owns.
Yeah.
So
we're sponsored to Save Duxbury Beach.
yeah, Save Duxbury Beach. And anyway, so that attracted us to the town. We moved into the town, and the timing was just right.
Yeah.
From a real estate perspective, for sure.
Yeah.
Great timing moving into that town.
Most prestigious street in town. Washington Street.
We got lucky.
But-
I tell you,
But
we
that's
got
not
lucky.
where they started, though.
It's not where we started. No,
So
No.
Possum? Where?
we lived on Stetson Lane.
Stetson.
Oh, got it.
Which is right down the street.
Yeah. And then
Um,
Which
hit
is
it
off of Washington.
right off of Washington.
Yeah, right off
It's
of
actually
Washington.
more prestigious
Yeah,
because people
listen.
don't know about it.
Those houses, it's crazy. I mean, if I had a hot tub time machine, I would go back and
Buy the whole street.
would have bought the whole street.
Every house that came up, buy it.
Yep.
Even if you think you're overpaying for it.
Yep.
Yeah. And how many children now?
Two
Yeah. And
wonderful.
boy and a girl.
Yeah.
Both playing hockey? One playing hockey?
One's doing learn to skate.
What's David? How old is he?
4.
Yeah, so he's not quite there
He's
yet.
a young 4. His birthday was in July,
Okay.
so we'll hold him back.
All right.
Daughter 6.
Yeah.
Coach Keith
Friends
over
with
here.
Jenny.
Coach Keith
Friends with
over here.
Jenny.
She's one of my stud forwards.
Yeah.
Been coaching her now for a couple years in the Devo program, Breakers, which I love.
The oldest-
Absolutely
the
love the program.
Oldest coach in Devo history. Keith Carter, 50 years old.
Aw.
49 years old.
46.
So yeah, I mean, it's
40-ish.
really, I'm amazed at the kids and how they develop under this program, and it's probably, for this age group, we're talking 5 to 7 year olds. The coaching is incredible, and they have
It's great to hear.
the kids. Really, listen, I'm being genuine. The kids are so engaged. Think about the attention spans.
Yeah, no,
of
I
these
was
kids.
there.
And they are so engaged with the drills that they're doing, and it's all the coaching. And so I
Level
love,
5 USA hockey coach over here, Keith Carter, running that show.
yeah, I love the
Woo,
program.
what's up now?
She will do this program
Until she's 18.
until she's. I wish. But she will definitely do it next year too.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm happy to, we're happy to have met Brian here. And before we cut out, a couple birthday shout outs. My Rosie's birthday was on
Nice.
Monday, the 16th.
How old?
She's 15 now. So she's 15. And on the same day was my nephew, Connor Morris's birthday. He's also October 16th. So happy birthday to Connor Morris. And a little shout out to Manning Morris, who's a UNH. He's at UNH right now. So I don't, if I didn't say that, they'd call me this afternoon. UNH, you don't mention me.
My sister's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday to
Happy
Keithy's sister.
birthday, everybody.
Happy
Yeah. So Brian, thank you for coming.
And actually, today is my brother-in-law's birthday.
There we go. Happy birthday.
Whoa.
Save Duxbury
Andrew.
Beach.
Happy
Andrew.
birthday.
So thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed your time.
I did. This was great. Thank
Keith,
you.
Keith, as always, thank
Danny.
you. My Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson. Damn it. 2 weeks in a row I screwed it up.
Jimmy, never compare yourself to Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, not Jimmy Carter. Got more. What's the joke on him? It's got more liver pills. No, what's the Jimmy Carter joke?
I don't know.
More
He was
liver
a
pills than.
Democrat?
Root beer. We didn't ask about Johnny Cops. Is he good?
He's good.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. So a little ending quote here. We're going a new.
Hold on, I have to say the word bamboozle.
No, that doesn't. You can't do that.
Did it.
Oh, that doesn't count.
That's count.
Mad Dog wanted me to make sure I said hello to you, Root Beer.
Hi, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog's one of our biggest fans. She's probably trying to listen live right now.
Get her on
Sure.
here.
We should figure out a way to take phone calls.
That would be.
We're not
that
live.
Would be incredible.
We're not live. All right, listen. Ending
We
quote.
go on site.
Ending quote site. Ending quote / inspirational tidbit.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. So there's 2 days in the year that you can do nothing about. Yesterday and tomorrow. So make sure today counts, everybody. All right.
I love that.
All right.
That is beautiful.
Brian, thanks for coming aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Keithy,
Yes.
Root Beer, everybody out there. If you ever need anything, you know how to reach me because, as you know, everybody needs a nudge. See ya.
Bye.
Nice job, B.
That was awesome.